die. Swing those hips around, can't stop, won't back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gene. You guys are watching Primed and Lubed, Season 4, Episode number 5 for November the 3rd, 2024. Connor is out, but Leo is there to lead the pack. How are you all doing, guys? It was a very, very interesting week. But before we get into that, I urge you guys to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If I can get monetized, it'll allow me to purchase more studio equipment to get rid of these little pixelation. First of all, the lighting, but a few other things. And basically, I would reinvest into the channel. That being said, we got a full-blown channel, and at the end of the episode, if you want to chime in for your final thoughts, I'll definitely take your comments and or questions, and we'll go from there. But yeah, a very interesting week, a Jekyll and Hyde kind of week, if you ask me, as the Edmonton Oilers played 3 games. They've had against the Wings, the Jackets, and the Predators. And unfortunately, the game against the Jackets, Connor McDavid went down on his first shift with what I think is a high ankle sprain. He's scheduled to be back 2 to 3 weeks. So if it was a break, he'd be out longer. If it was torn ligaments, he could be out for the season. So I think he suffered a high ankle sprain. Again, there is nothing out there stating either way, but it was diagnosed as a LBI, lower body injury, and that would be my assessment. But again, I don't know for sure. Anyway, we're going to take a look at some of the news around the league. Going to check into the Wings game. This is going to be actually a pretty long and lengthy episode. We're going to give you a new poll. We're going to do a reflections again, this time on Jason Smith, Gator, one of my favorite defensemen of the Edmonton Oilers. We're also going to do the Blue Jackets game. We're going to look at the Western Conference standings, cover the Predators game, and then I got my very first rig report for the 24-25 NHL season. We're going to do that today. We're going to take a look at the upcoming games, which there is 4 of them that I have to cover. So again, brace yourself, grab some popcorn, grab a beer. This could be a lengthy episode. Let's start it off with going around the league, as there has been some interesting news, mostly negative news as opposed to injuries, and we'll get right into that. Obviously, we know Connor out 2 to 3 weeks with a lower body injury. Matthew Barzal is also out and leaves the Islanders on a road trip. Mike Riley appears that he took a hit to the head and was helped off the ice, nearly stretchered off the ice, but he left on his own basis. And then another Islanders player, and I can't quite, it's not coming to me, but another player is out for the Islanders too. So they are really, really hurting. The NHLPA hopes to get a committee together to understand CTE a little bit better. That's kind of in light of Mike Riley's injury. It's kind of ironic that they're doing that now, but that is something that a lot of professional sports are starting to take note of, because it is something that usually when the careers end, there's depression, there's a lot of stuff, and a lot of it is from the guys that were fighters, the guys that took bad hits, a lot of concussions, and there's just a lot to learn from that, and what concussions do to, what kind of damage concussions do long-term to the brain. Sharks rookie McLaren returns to the team activity. So I guess that's one right now out of a week of injuries, and it almost seems like a bad week altogether. See what happens there. just a quick look around the league. And now we're going to go into the Oilers and Wings game. The Oilers, it was like I say, it was a Jekyll and Hyde week for the Oilers, as a decent game against the Wings, but a horrible, brutal game against the Jackets, and then an amazing win against the Predators. So they were kind of all over the map this week. We're going to start off with the Detroit Red Wing game, and I'm going to give you my game notes here. So my takeaways for this game, with Oilers with 2 goals. Draisaitl extended his point streak to 6 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. McDavid had 25 points, 5 goals, and 20 assists in the career games against Detroit. For the Red Wings, defenseman Jeff Petrie had an assist on Kopp's goal for his first point of the season. Key moments. Detroit's penalty kill unit ranked 31st in the league in the NHL at 64.3. Successfully killed off tripping penalties to Kopp with 151 remaining in regulation, assuring the team at least 1 point, as it was a 3-2 final in overtime. The key stat: the Red Wings have been outshot in 6 consecutive games and are 3-3 over that span. Detroit is 31st in the NHL with shots allowed per game at 34.7 and 32nd in the league in shots on goal per game at 24.6. So obviously, defense isn't very good and offense isn't very good, but their special teams isn't that bad. The Red Wings have given up at least 30 shots in 6 straight games, while going 5 games in a row, generating fewer than 30 shots on goal. So my take on this game was absolutely loved it when Corey Perry stepped off to square off with Joe Villano after a brutal call or non-call hit from behind on Derek Ryan. And that was right in the numbers. That should have been a penalty. And why is our oldest statesman stepping up? Where's Darnell? Obviously Evander's not there, but I'd like to see some other guys. But good for Corey Perry on stepping up for that one. So my overall game grade for this one was a C. I mean, it was okay, but they still are lacking a lot of stuff, and they still have to improve on a lot of stuff. And I'm going to go over some of that a little bit later when I do my piece on the rig report. Okay, so I got a new question. I'm doing the poll actually quite early. I had to kind of move things around here. So for the poll question this week, and it is related to Connor's injury, will Leo lead his team in Connor's absence to an above 500 record over the next 2 to 3 weeks? Scan that QR code. It'll take me directly to my YouTube community channel, and you can place your vote. I'd love to hear from you, your thoughts on it, because what we saw in the Nashville game was pretty impressive. So that is the YouTube question for the week. Will Leo lead his team in Connor's absence to an over 500 record in the next 2 to 3 weeks? I got some tough games, by the way, coming up. Okay, so we're going to go into the reflections piece now on one Jason Smith, a.k.a. Gator. For my 5th installment of Reflections, I'm going back to yet another D-man. He also was a captain and a leader, one of my favorite leaders to lead this team since I've been following the Oilers. Jason Smith, a.k.a. Gator, who just turned 51 on November 2nd. Happy birthday. Was one of my favorites. Definitely would be within my top 5. And now I know I seem to say that a lot. I say that about Salo. I say that about McTavish. But these are guys that I honestly really enjoyed watching them play because they didn't necessarily have the talents, but they had the work ethic. They had the demeanor to be the guy in the dressing room lifting people up when they were down. And Jason Smith was a true captain. Jason Smith, born November 2nd, 1973, is a Canadian former professional ice hockey defenseman who played in over 1,000 NHL games from 93 to 2009. Smith played for the New Jersey Devils, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Edmonton Oilers, Philadelphia Flyers, Ottawa Senators, after and being originally selected by the New Jersey Devils in the first round, 18th overall in 1992. Smith served as team captain for both the Edmonton Oilers and the Philadelphia Flyers, the former of which he led for 5 years and guided the team to the 2006 Stanley Cup final. Smith made his NHL debut with the Devils during the 93-94 season, though he spent the majority of the season in the American Hockey League with the team's affiliate, Albany River Rats. He then missed the majority of the 94-95 season due to a knee injury, but recovered in time to play in one Stanley Cup playoff game, his playoff debut, before eventually returning to captain the River Rats to a Calder Cup championship in 1995. The same year, the Devils captured their first Stanley Cup. Then next season, in 1995-96, Smith became a regular fixture on the New Jersey Devils NHL roster. On February 25th, 1997, during the 96-97 season, Smith was involved in a blockbuster trade, moving to the Toronto Maple Leafs along with Steve Sullivan and the rights to Alan McCulley in exchange for Doug Gilmour, Dave Elliott, and New Jersey's fourth-round pick in 1999, which Toronto had acquired Dave Andreychuk in a trade the year before. Smith spent parts of 3 seasons in Toronto before being traded to the Edmonton Oilers on March 3, 1999, during the 98-99 season. When the Oilers team captain Doug Weight was later traded to the St. Louis Blues, Smith's strong leadership tendencies resulted in him being handed the captaincy, where he would ultimately match Wayne Gretzky as the longest-serving captain in Edmonton Oilers history at 5 seasons, wearing the C from 2001 to 2007, excluding the 2004-2005 NHL lockout in which the 04-05 season was canceled. Smith captained the Oilers to a largely unexpected run in 2006 Stanley Cup Finals, which they faced the Carolina Hurricanes, another dark horse team. However, the Oilers lost in the final game of a grueling 7-game series. He contributed 1 goal, 4 assists during the surprise playoff run. And it was a surprise playoff run because they also knocked out the Red Wings, who were the favorites to win the Cup that year in the first round. On July 9th, 2007, Edmonton's general manager Kevin Lowe traded Smith along with forward Joffrey Lupul to the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for Yanni Pekkanen, Jeff Sanderson, and Philadelphia's third-round draft pick in 2009. In his first and only season in Philadelphia, Smith captained a rebuilt Flyers squad to an Eastern Conference showdown against their interstate rivals, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Despite the fact that the Penguins won the series, the Flyers' turnaround from worst team in the NHL to their status in 2007-2008 was a testament of Smith's leadership abilities. In the 2008-2009 season, Smith played his last year in the NHL with the Ottawa Senators before retiring from professional hockey on September 2nd, 2009. He later became assistant coach for the Senators. So there you have it, guys. Jason Smith, just a good, solid, stay-at-home defenseman. Hard to play against, extremely hard to play against, but one of my favorite captains in Oilers history, bar none. Jason, happy birthday. Yeah, he was definitely an amazing player. Okay, guys, let's get into what I thought was probably one of the most disgusting Edmonton Oilers games so far this season, as the Oilers were absolutely trounced by the Blue Jackets. And they lost their captain in this game, so this was a tough one to actually watch and enjoy. And there was obviously a lot of concern about what's going on with Connor McDavid. So this would be at Nationwide Arena on the 28th as they would take on the Blue Jackets. This, you'd think, Blue Jackets, they're a team, they're trying to find their way, but maybe they're under a little bit of motivation like the Calgary Flames with the passing of Johnny Gaudreau. But they took it to us. They took it to us hard as... for the Oilers lost superstar Connor McDavid to a lower body injury only 37 seconds into it, so on his very first shift after the opening faceoff when he collided in the boards. Despite outshooting Columbus in the first two periods, they failed to capitalize on 5-on-5 power play on 5 power play opportunities. So again, the power play still is very horrible, and this reflects their grade for the month when we get into the Rig Report. Key moment, Victor Arvidsson came in hot behind the net and tripped up Merzlikins a minute and 30 seconds into the game, leading to Columbus's first power play, and Monahan would score. The Oilers never seemed to regain their footing and struggled to get quality looks after that point. So very early, the game was pretty much decided. Key stat, after failing to score on any of their opportunities, the Oilers' power play percentage fell to 13%. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, as they had the worst penalty kill, and Edmonton also has the worst penalty kill in the league at 60%. Those are huge stats that will affect their grade in the Rig Report. So, my take on this game is McDavid's injury is a loss that no player can replicate his talent. That being said, might be a blessing in disguise from the attention drawn around Connor, and ESPN's documentary may have had the team not so focused on out of the gate dealing with the media. Time for the boys to put their big boy pants on and play unified. My overall grade for this one, I have to do it, guys. It was a fail. Aww. Brutal game. Absolutely brutal game. Disgusting game, actually. It was just gross to watch, and unfortunately, that's the outcome. They failed. Okay, let's go into the Western Conference standings as it currently stand right now. By the way, guys, remember it's daylight savings, so there is an hour shift for the hockey game today. You guys may not be joining me also because of this shift, but we're going to take a look at the upcoming schedule for the Edmonton Oilers going forward here. Let me just find where I need. Here we go. This is the current standings, and I'm going to put a banner up here of the next 4 games. So we're going to be talking about these 4 games here shortly. But they got a tough week as they'll face Calgary today. They got Jersey tomorrow night, Vegas, I believe, on Wednesday, and then I believe next Saturday against the Canucks. So it's huge. And as you can see right now, the Edmonton Oilers are below the playoff cut line. Yep. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, which thank God they're not, the Oilers would not be qualified for this, for the playoffs this year, which would be quite upsetting if they don't make it, as they are, 4th in the actual Pacific, I believe, 4th or 5th. Let's see, you got Vegas, you got LA, you got Vancouver. Yeah, they're 5th, actually. So... yeah, not so good at all for the Edmonton Oilers. And I'm going to just get these banners out of the way, and it's not going. Okay. I just turn that down. But I am also expecting some big things and some unification. This team will get better. This team didn't start very good last year, and look what happened. They made it to the Cup final. I counted them out last year, which something I will never do again. So right now they are sitting at 11 points, 5-5-1 record, so they're just at 500. They will turn it on. Some surprise teams, though, is Winnipeg. Kind of surprising, but Minnesota being right in the mix there is really, really impressive. The fact that Dallas has kind of stepped back a little bit, Vancouver stepping back, Calgary's, we'll see what Calgary does. Utah's right now above the cut line, so there's a few surprises there. But again, it's still very early. We won't really. They always use U.S. Thanksgiving as kind of a marking point of if you're going to make it or if you're not going to make it. San Jose, just like I said last week, I thought I ruled them out, and then boom, they bang out 3 wins. So they're out to try to prove me wrong too. Okay, where are we going now? We are going into basically Halloween night, where the Edmonton Oilers dressed up like a contender and played an amazing game. So you went from one of the most worst, or actually the worst game of the season thus far against the Jackets to, I would say, the best game against the Predators. So very Jekyll and Hyde. And yeah, the Edmonton Oilers on Halloween dressed up as a legit contender and played a great game against the Preds. And I give them huge honors. So this was the second game already this season that they played against Nashville. They are going to wrap up that series, I believe, in early November when they play at Rogers Place in Edmonton. Let's get into it. For takeaways, Oilers, after scoring career-high 54 goals last season, Hyman had not scored this season prior to beating Saros at 7:14 remaining in the game. With McDavid sidelined for the next 2 to 3 weeks, Thursday's goal could jumpstart Hyman's production at a time when the Oilers need others to contribute on the score sheet. Key moment, the Oilers dominated the game for the first shift, picking up 3 shots on goal and 2 other shot attempts before Arvidsson beat Saros for his first goal as an Oiler just 37 seconds into the game. So the Oilers came out hopping and flying, and yeah, I remember that. Nashville just looked like deers in headlights, like they just didn't know what to make of it. Key stat, with 2 goals and an assist Thursday, Draisaitl now has 27 goals and 19 assists in 28 games played against Nashville. He has 6 games with at least 3 points in the last 9 played against Nashville. So Nashville does it for him. He just, I don't know what it is, but he just does very, very well against the Predators. I think that's his best team where he has his best point production. Okay, let's get into my take. After getting the news earlier this week that the team would be out with the captain and leader for 2 to 3 weeks, I feel Leo and the boys really stepped up and played a perfect game, topped with 2 cherries on top, with Noah Phillips' first career point and Zach Hyman's first goal of the season, ending his 24-25 drought. So big takes there. Got to give them, a big salute. I won't do the audience cheer yet because that's still coming. Because my grade for these guys, a perfect A+. Oh. Get it again. I do that. No booze there. I actually have a little sound thing now. I realize I actually hit the wrong button. But yeah, A+. So they went from a fail against Columbus to an A+. Like those kind of extremes can happen. We need this team to have a little bit more consistency. Like it's not, you don't go from a fail to an A+ in 2 straight games. Like, that should not happen, but that's how it happened. Like, they played an amazing game. I had to give them the A+ on that one, and I had to give them a fail against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Okay, let's go into the rig report. Now, I did actually release this segment yesterday on my Facebook and YouTube, so it has been kind of released with the bubble text, because I just thought I'd give you guys a preview of it. But here is the actual rig report without the bubble text. Okay, guys, it's time to do the first installment for the rig report for the Edmonton Oilers 24-25 NHL season. Those of you guys who don't understand how the rig report works or are new to the channel, it's very simple mathematics. I basically collaborate certain stats like your penalty kill, your power play, your face-off win percentage, goals for, goals against, save percentage, you name it. And then I do a massive collaboration average grade of all those aspects. And it's really simple. If you're first or second in the league on a particular item, you get an A+. If you are 31st or 32nd in the league, you get a fail. It's just that simple. So I'm going to compare this to how they did in the month of April 2024, which was the last time I did this, and see where the Oilers rank today. All right, so when it comes to the point percentage, in April, they scored a B, which was not bad. I wouldn't complain about, but they were starting to slip, if you do remember. They were on fire in January. I believe it was January of last year, where they went on that 16-game winning streak before losing to the Vegas Golden Knights. But in April, the Oilers were ranked 12th in the league. However, they would move down to 19th to open the season. So they basically dropped a full letter, as they are now a C for point percentage in the league. When it comes to shots for, they were an A+ in April. No cause for concern, as the Oilers have fallen ever so slightly to third. So they just lose the plus sign, but they are still an A in that aspect. When it comes to shots against, this stat is the bright light for the Edmonton Oilers, as they went from 25th in April to 13th in October, giving them a B from a D+. So pretty good increase there. In April of 24, the Edmonton Oilers power play was actually really not doing so well, considering that this team in 22-23 had, like, basically were setting NHL records for their power play on how strong it was. So it went from a D-, and this month they are a D. So there's actually, believe it or not, from April, slight improvement on the power play. Even though it doesn't feel like it, there actually was. The penalty kill was a B-. Special teams have been, in general, absolutely brutal for the Edmonton Oilers so far this season, as they have the second worst PK in the league. This stat needs to get better. It's a fail. 100%. The penalty kill right now is failing the Oilers. They need to improve that stat 100%. Goals for, A- in April of 2024. Connor, Leon, Nude, Zach are all struggling to find the twine this year so far, and with additional scoring from Victor Arvidsson and Jeff Skinner, they should be ransacking the net, but are not. This one does not make any sense to me whatsoever. I can't give you guys enough reason why this is happening. This is just, they're getting the shots, but they're just not going in for them. So they actually fell to a D- in this category. Quite a significant drop-off. In April of 24, they were a D+ for goals against. Defensively, with exception to the PK, the Oilers appear to be improving. However, a lot more work is needed, as they are now a C for goals against. When it comes to the save percentage, goaltending seems to remain extremely inconsistent. And this is like for the last 5 years. This is when Mika Koskinen was still on the team. Like, this is one area that the Edmonton Oilers can't seem to get a grasp on. Stu would lay an egg one game and then get a shutout the next night against the Penguins, stopping 25 shots. So I just want to see some consistency in the right way, like some consistency winning. That's one thing that Stuart Skinner has to find and get a grasp on his game, is his consistency. So from a C- last April, they went to a D for the month of October, as Skinner had some rough nights. Even though he had one shutout against Pittsburgh, he's had a rough go so far. Face-off win percentage, they got an A+ back in April. Draisaitl and Henrique remain formidable foes to opponents on the dot, as the Oilers remain at the top despite a slight drop-off, and they are now an A in that category. So what is the overall grade for the month of October? When I add up all these things and where they ranked, I am giving them a C. So yes, they need to improve. They need to get a little bit more consistent with the goaltending. They got to figure out something about the PK. That is their Achilles heel right now. And even their power play has to get going. But we'll see. Now with Connor out for a bit, we'll see if Leo can lead these guys in the right direction. Anyway, guys, that is the Rig Report for October 2024. Okay, guys, well, there is 4 games this week. One of them will start in literally a few hours from now, as they'll take on the Calgary Flames in the Battle of Alberta. I want to do this one little thing for you guys. I'm going to name off a few ex-Oilers here, and you tell me what all these guys have in common here. So we're gonna start off with Curtis Glencross, Andrew Ference, Vladislav Smeed, Corey Potter, Mike Camilleri, Chris Russell, Mike Smith, James Neal, Milan Lucic, Grant Fuhr, Jim Dowd, Brad Wawrinka, Tyson Berry, Jordan Osterley, Cam Talbot, Tobias Ryder. What do all those guys have in common? And believe it or not, they played on both Edmonton and Calgary. They did a stint at some point in time in Calgary and a stint with the Edmonton Oilers. Tyson Berry right now playing with the Calgary Flames as we speak. All right, enough of that. Let's get into the upcoming games, as it is a full week for the Oilers. They're going to have a very busy week, so there's a lot to talk about. Let's get right into it. So tonight they're going to take on the Calgary Flames. Okay, let's take a look at the stats here. So Calgary is 21st. I'm going to actually just, because there's 4 games I'm covering, I'm going to just cover some of the key stats, some ones that really stand out for me. Calgary is 31st in the league for face-off win percentage at 45.1, so they're kind of not very good. Edmonton's best offensive stat is their shooting percentage worst percentage at 7.3%. They're only getting in 7.3 of all their shots, which is quite significant. Of course, Edmonton is pretty good on shots on goal at 33.8 per game. But yeah, a lot of stuff with the Oilers that just don't make any sense this year. Considering they were in the finals just literally 2-3 months ago. So you think they would still have a bit of a groove, but it's like they're trying to find their game again, like they've been off since April. But they weren't. They played right into June. When it comes to defensive stats that stand out for me, The Oilers on the penalty kill, worst penalty kill in the league at 32nd, compared to Calgary's at 26th, so nothing to write home about. Yeah, Calgary's starting to come down to earth, I think. So let's just take a look at the last 10 for the Flames, as they are 5-4-1. They are on a one-game winning streak. They did win a couple nights ago. I don't know who they played, though. Home and away record. Calgary is 4-2-0. The Oilers are 3-2-0. And they got Skinner starting tonight. This one I'm not I think it will be Skinner. I think they are kind of now leaning. There might be a bit of a goaltending controversy here, as Calvin Pickard is starting to look a little bit better consistently than Skinner so far this year. So it looks like they're going to plug in Skinner in net for this game, and then Calvin Pickard against Jersey tomorrow night. Dan Vladar will probably be starting for the Flames. His record is 2-3-1 with a .265 goals against average, .909 save percentage. They both have one shutout each, and the last time they met, Calgary beat up on the Flames October 13th. It was the third loss in a row to open the season for the Oilers, and that was a 4-1 loss to the Flames back, and I believe that was in Calgary. I'm not sure about that, but anyway. Okay, let's move on to the New Jersey Devils, who are in town in Edmonton anyway. Tomorrow night, this is a team that is definitely needing a little bit of work as far as rebounding. But they are definitely progressing in the right. Their shots on goal, or actually, what is it? Their goals, they're 10th in the league, averaging 3.57 goals. So they're an interesting, fast team. 6th in the league on the power play to our 27th, so pretty good on the power play. Or 11th. They're all their stats, with exception to the penalty minutes. They're kind of bad for penalty minutes, but all their stats are in the upper half of the league. So when I mean upper half, they are between 1 and 15, with exception to, like I say, the penalty minutes, where they rank 23rd. The last time they played, and this one is on Amazon Prime tomorrow night, so if you don't have Amazon Prime, you probably won't be able to watch this game. And unless you have U.S. network games as well. Previous time that they played was a 6-3 win for the Edmonton Oilers on December 21st, 2023. That's when the Oilers were starting to heat up and went on that nice run. Current record for the Devils is 7-5-2. Their away record is 4-3-0. Their last 10, 4-4-2, and they are coming off a loss. Jacob Markstrom has what could be the save of the year, and it happened in the game one of his season. Just an absolute stunner. He's got one shutout, 907 save percentage, 262 goals against average. Pickard likely to get this game, 3-1-0. With a 247 goals against average and an 897. So another goaltender for the Oilers that is sub 900. And again, this is something that I touched on the Rig Report. Like, the consistency of the goaltending has got to improve. That is one thing that it has to get consistent. It has not been consistent for years. So we'll see what they can do there. Okay, let's get on to the Vegas Golden Knights, who are currently first in the Pacific. They're, as always, they always seem to be a bit of a contender. But last year they kind of fell off the map after winning the cup a little bit. But stats that really stand out for me as far as the Devils go. Again, this is another team where they're off, or not Devils, sorry. Got to switch that one. Where the Oilers, where the Vegas Golden Knights go. Again, this is a team that, for their offensive stats, have all their stats within the upper 15 of the offensive aspect of things. And actually, the only stat that they have is one defensive stat that is 24th at 73.9 on the penalty kill. So their penalty kill has been suffering. Their record right now is 8-3-1 with a away record of 0-3-1. So Vegas has not been playing very good on the road. So that could boast well for the Oilers. Last 10, 6-3-1. They are on a one-game winning streak. Aiden Hill is expected to start with a 5-2-0 record, 316 goals against average, 874 save percentage, and one shutout. Skinner, again, I already mentioned his stats. The last time they played was a 5-1 win for the Oilers on April 10th, 24. And finally, we get into the last one here as the Oilers will take on the Vancouver Canucks, a rematch of the Pacific Division Final from last year. As the Canucks have dropped off as well this year. They were pretty good last year, but for whatever reason, they're having trouble get going again this year. For their stats, it's kind of a mixed bag. Like they are 17th, 19th, 23rd, 10th, 18th. They're kind of all over the map. Their best stat is what I would think is, unless there's something better, their best stat is shots on goal allowed. So they are still pretty good defensively as they are ranked 7th in the league at only 27.3 shots per game allowed. They are tied for 8th on the penalty kill, which definitely blows the Oilers out of the water. The last time they met was May 20th, 2024, Game 7, where it was a 3-2 win. I remember talking with Sammy on this one, and I think if Brock Besser didn't have the blood clot issue last year and was playing in that game, there was a legit chance that Vancouver was going to win that series. And Oilers would have been out a lot earlier. Kevin Lankinen is likely the starter with a 5-0-2 record, 2.25 goals against, and a .919 save percentage. He's doing pretty. Vancouver's got some good goaltenders, and they haven't even been their main goalie. I can't think of his name right now, but he's been out for quite some time. I mean, and they still have depth when it comes to their goaltending, so that's a good situation for them. But yeah, it's interesting. So there you have it, guys. That is the 4 games that are up and coming. So I'm going to be busy with a lot of reports next week going into it. Let's go into final thoughts and go into that. And we're going to just quickly just talk about Connor's injury a little bit and what I'm hoping to see out of the Edmonton Oilers going into this. None of you guys chimed in today. So, yeah, feel free to chime in, you guys, if you want. I would definitely answer your questions or give you my thoughts on what I think about certain things. But, yeah, what I'm hoping for the Edmonton Oilers throughout this stretch that McDavid is out is them to really band together and really play as a united front. I know Leo has amazing leadership skills. There's almost a part of me that would like to see Leo as the captain. I think I don't know. McDavid's the greatest hockey player in the world. There's no question. But I think when it comes to leaders, I don't know. Draisaitl seems to be when he does his post-game scrums, he's been more notable. Now, that being said, what I saw out of McDavid in the Amazon Prime video, I loved. I know a lot of you guys out there did not like him freaking out like that, did not like the emotion that he sent when he was crying in the locker room, but those guys put so much work into winning a Stanley Cup, and when you get it taken away from you like that and go all the way to Game 7 and you're that freaking close. I understand the emotion. Anyway, guys, that's another episode of Primed and Lewd for this week. I hope you can join in next week. I am off to do some things I would rather not do right now, as I have to go visit my mother at her care home. She had a bit of a slip two slips the last couple of days, so she was actually taken to the hospital yesterday, but I think she's back. Nothing was broken, thank God for that. But I will check in with her right now. Guys, you have a great evening, and go Oilers go. Hopefully they can pull off a good win against the Calgary Flames tonight at 5 o'clock. Remember, daylight savings, guys, so there's a bit of shift in the hours. We'll talk to you next week.